Have you ever found yourself turning to food for comfort when feeling sad, stressed, angry, lonely, or any other negative emotion? This is what we will discuss with my guest, Karen. She will share her story. We will discuss the complex relationship between emotions and eating. We will see how emotional eating can quickly spiral into a source of pain, shame, and self sabotage. We will also discover its impact on overall well being. Stick with us until the end. We will share practical tips to identify the triggers behind emotional eating and how to regain control over the relationship with food. Hi, and welcome to Wellness All Seasons. It's a holistic approach to women's well being. We explore how to embrace wellness in all aspects of life, regardless of the season we are in. I have been doing this podcast since August 2022. It's available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and other platforms. I started uploading it to my YouTube channel to make it more accessible to you. This podcast is for you if you are a busy woman seeking a happier and more balanced life. I'm Mina Kandar, a wellness strategist and certified nutrition coach. My mission is to empower you and provide wellness strategies and actionable tips to help you thrive. If this is the first time you are listening to Wellness All Seasons, you are very welcome. Please subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification button to be notified when I upload a new episode. My guest, Karen, is a hypnotherapist, coach, and author of the best-selling book, Eating Secret Reveals. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Mina. I'm glad to be here.
So tell me why hypnotherapist and why Eating Secret Reveals? Why did you write this book?
Why did I write this book? Yes, so I grew up with a lot of grief. Like as a 10-year-old, I lost the love of my life. I lost my father. So he died of cancer when I was 10. And at that age, I just didn't understand what was going on. And then my mum remarried when I was 15. No, he passed away. Remarried before I was turned 15. Then within a year, he passed away. So I had a lot of grief in my life. And I didn't know how to deal. I didn't understand my feelings. So I think at that early age, I learned that food was my best friend and that I used food to soothe and to not feel the emotions that was going through me. And I think I was left alone a lot at a young age as well, where my mother had a coffee shop. And so from a very young age, I was very independent. But looking at it now, even as a 15-year-old, looking at it now, I know that I was saying, well, what about me? What's wrong with me? My mother moved up. My mother was grieving, so she moved up to the country and left me in Sydney when I was 15 alone. And as a 15-year-old, it was like, woohoo, I've got all this freedom. But now, looking back now at my age now, I know that my 15-year-old was going, well, why is everybody leaving me?
Yeah.
So food became my best friend.
Yeah. And what were you feeling when this happened to you? And what are the consequences of eating, having food as friends, as you have said? It was.
Yeah. It is obviously when you're going through that and you don't understand what it's all about, it becomes all about the diet and all about weight. As a teenager, as a child, I was always on every single diet out there because I didn't like how I looked. I wasn't happy with who I was. I didn't look like anybody else. Like all my friends, I looked different. I was different from them. So it was all about, I need to go on diets. I need to go on diets. I need to go on diets. And from a very young age, again, that's teaching our brains that we're not good enough. We're not good. The way we are is not good. So on and off diets for many, many years, being successful, then, lose it again, gain it again, lose it again, gain it again. And it wasn't till I started doing self-development work that I realized what the issues were. It wasn't actually about that I couldn't control myself. I just like food too much. All these things that we say to ourselves, I just can't stick to diet, so I'm just not good enough. It wasn't actually about that. It was actually about the reasons why I use food to make me feel better, or use food to not feel better, to squash down those feelings, to numb down those feelings. And it was when I started working through the traumas of the grief. And trauma doesn't even necessarily have to be what I went through. It can be something as simple as someone telling you, like I got told at 8, you shouldn't be in a bikini. And it's like, as an 8-year-old, she had a little pot belly. I mean, that's not it. So these things become traumas to us as little kids because our minds haven't grown up enough to understand what that means. So all these things, we need to actually look at healing those traumas that we've actually experienced in our younger age, and especially if it's underrated, it's imprinted into us, it's imprinted to our brain, so we take it with us, and as we get older, it's stuck there now, and it's stuck in our unconscious mind, and we need to actually let that go. So once I started doing the self-development and actually worked through some of the emotions that I hadn't allowed myself to feel, then I could then start having a different relationship with food. But it is not also about the healing the traumas. You also need to change the habits you've created by using the food to soothe.
So you did it by yourself after starting reading about self-development. You start to recognize the problem you had and you start to work on yourself alone.
Yes, and I also got myself a coach as well. And from that, I started doing self-development for me. Then as I had successes for me, I then thought, I really want to help others the way I've been helped. So then I started learning self-development to actually be able to help other people. So, started doing courses like, I started off doing Reiki and things like that, the energy sort of work, which I love as well. And then went down the NLP, the timeline therapy, the hypnosis, the creatrix, kinesiology, where your body tells you different things as well. So all those things were to then help me help other people recognize what's going on for them. And all those different tools allow me to work with the person individually to work out what's best for them to actually clear their beliefs that are holding them back, their emotions that they're not allowing themselves to feel, and find their reasons why they actually use food to soothe.
So for you, could you please tell us your experience? How was it this period when you were using food as your friend and you developed emotional eating?
It was very much shame and fear and this secret, like keeping these secrets of eating secretly, and finish off the wrappers and lifting up the bin and actually putting it underneath other things inside the bin, and then hating yourself for doing it, eating until you just couldn't eat anymore, knowing you're full, but just keep on eating so you've got a pain in the belly. And then when you first start eating it, there's this joy, this taste in your mouth. You feel like, this feels really good. But when you continue to keep going and going and going and going, and then secretly eating and then putting the papers in the bin and stopping off at the shop and buying 2 blocks of chocolates to eat that night, big family blocks, you then, after you've done it, the shame that goes in your mind and the terrible things you say to yourself, that like, I am a bad person, I shouldn't be doing this, you're lazy, you've got no control, all these things. It's something you'd never say to your best friend or to anyone that you loved.
I feel you.
Yeah, it's and then expect us to respect ourselves the next day after you've just been telling them off like that. It just makes you sadder. So then what do you do the next day? You say you're never going to do it again, but you do it again because you've beaten yourself up so much.
Yeah, it's a real addiction, because for someone who is addicted to drugs, for example, the person behaves the same manner. And it's a strong relationship with the object. It may be chocolate bar, other food, other drugs, etc. But the relationship is so strong that the person, when the moment arrived to consume, she has no control. She consume, and later she start to have all these feeling of shame, of guilty, or feeling guilty, etc. And you said fear. Fear about what?
Fear of being caught, fear of probably even not having the food, not having that comfort, just afraid of not being liked. There's all these fears that go on in your mind and all these thoughts. And you're even afraid of being bullied for, obviously, weight and also eating so much. Kids can be cruel, especially as, in the teenagers that, people say things without even thinking. And so then you get this fear of actually, eating in front of other people. So what you tend to do is you tend to go out with people and you eat a minor amount and then push it away or whatever. But the minute you go home, you sort of go for hell for leather in the out of the fridge. So it is the emotions are just constant, and we haven't learned to understand those emotions. We haven't learned to feel through those emotions, because as a binge eater, the minute you're doing is you're squashing down those emotions so far deep that they can't come out. We're afraid of those emotions. We don't know how to deal with them.
Yeah. So what's happened to you so as to change and to break this habit, this trigger? What's happened?
Yeah. So the biggest thing, as I said, was being aware, noticing that I was eating when I was full, and I wasn't happy. I just wasn't happy where I was. So it was like I needed to do something. So I found myself a coach, and we worked through the process, cleared through some of the emotions. I had like a belief that exercise meant death. So having lost my father at 10, seeing him fall off a ladder, he died of cancer, but my 10-year-old brain didn't know that's why he died. My 10-year-old brain saying, oh, well, if you're active, you die. And then when my stepfather died, he was very active and he just died in his sleep. So again, your brain goes, okay, I believe if you're active, you die. Your brain will try to prove it correct again with another event. So again, I saw that event later on, well, if you're active, you die. So all through my years of wanting to diet, and diet always tell you to, watch where you eat and exercise, I would start exercise programs. But the minute I was triggered, I would then go, oh, I'm going to die if I keep on exercising. This is my unconscious mind, not me personally, but, oh, I need to sit on the couch and eat chocolate. And so that's what I do. So I'd be on these sort of binge processes. So it's when you clear and find out these different triggers or these different beliefs that you have, that you would stuck right back here in the back of your unconscious, that you can then start to make changes. Because if you try to make the changes of changing your relationship with food, but not understanding the traumas or the emotions or the stuff that's causing it, you'll keep on sabotaging yourself because you don't know why you're doing it.
Yeah. And what did you do to overcome this situation?
Yeah. So lots of processes, because you've got to remember, if you've been a binger, it's been for a very long time. So 20 years, you don't just change it overnight. It isn't just one thing. There would be releasing the traumas. There would be becoming aware of what the issue is. The first thing is be aware that you've got a problem. I mean, that's the first thing you've got to do. Then clearing through the emotions, to having trigger pattern interrupts. So obviously when you get a trigger, to have something else to do instead, to stop yourself. So it's like a break when you actually know you're going to do it, and there's, okay, so I've got this other option to do something else. And understanding what your triggers are. So, is it stress? Is it a fight with your husband? Is it, screaming? Is it when you have a problem with the kids? Is that a trigger for you? Understand that, and then know to then either de-stress or whatever it is that you need to do, go for a walk, meditate, find your happy place. And then you also have to break the habits. So there's lots of steps to it, and it isn't something that's going to happen overnight. You need to take baby steps. And if you
Yeah.
use those pattern interrupts and you normally binge 5 times during the day, 5 times a week or something, or it could be more, and you manage to stop yourself twice, that's twice that week that you wouldn't normally have binged. So these are all baby steps you need to actually, and give yourself a pat on the back for doing that.
Yeah, it's a process. There is no
Yes.
quick solution.
Correct.
Yeah. But when the person is really addicted, focused on something, it can the person can do the work by self, because to recognize all these things, to break the habits, is so difficult. So I think that seeking for help is necessary in the beginning.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, working with someone to actually identify the traumas, identify the emotions, to help them go through the processes is a lot better when you're working one-on-one. There's lots of, therapists. You want to work with someone who understands, who's been through bed or has a binge eating problem, because a lot of people, if they haven't lived it, they don't understand what the emotions are and what can actually trigger you, and they don't really get it. So having to work with someone who understands that makes it a lot easier. But yeah, it is. There are people who may just be able to read a book and go, wow, that helped me, and be able to do it. But there's a lot of layers. It's like peeling away layers of an onion. If you, not one person will be exactly the same the way they react to different things. And something that may, I've got so many different techniques you can use, and one technique might work wonders for one other person, but the other person prefers another one. So it depends on each individual.
Each person is unique, and each person
Correct.
has her background of what causes the problem. So the solution
Correct.
is not the same for everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
How many times takes you to free yourself from binge eating?
Yeah, I mean, there will be sometimes triggers that will come up that you think, oh, and you might stop yourself mid. I remember one time I was writing, I started binging, and I was writing a letter to the binger inside me. And I was writing on, I understand, you're trying to feel something, and blah, blah, blah. And I actually stopped myself mid binge. So it's not something that you can just say, oh yes, 5 attempts and you're done, you're fixed. It's not. You're not broken. You are not broken. You are just basically have turned to food to find to either numb out or to feel something. So it is a matter of understanding why you want to change. So there's 2 whys. You want to understand why you want to change, and have a compelling why you want to be healthier and feel better. But you also need to understand why you actually turn to food. So they're your triggers, the emotions, the traumas. So healing through those things, there's no timeline. We can't say that it's going to be a month, 2 months, 3 months, a year, because a person will go through and they may be binge free for 12 months. And then something may happen where it's a new trigger that they have to look at. So it has to be something that you're aware, like you speak to smokers who haven't smoked for 20 years, and they say, I know I can go out and have one if I got offered one. They still have that craving every now and then. Now for smokers and that they don't have to be around it, whereas as food is part of, we need food to survive. So to give up food, you can't just give up food. So there's always going to be these things.
Awareness, I think to be aware of why we we use food and why we eat. When we know the why, the relationship with food change. Because if we understand that I'm eating to nourish my body because I feel hungry, it's not the same thing that I eat because I have some emotion triggers and I'm eating. There are 2 options, 2 different options. And when the person recognizes why, she can find the solution.
Yeah,
And
she can make the choice then, and then it comes down to choices. It isn't just about the food. It has to be, as you said, why am I going to the cupboard to eat? Am I actually hungry? And a lot of the times we don't ask, as a binge eater, we haven't learnt to ask our body or listen to our body. We've actually stopped listening to it for a very long time.
yes, because I think we don't let space to feel hungry. That's why food is always a source of we eat because there is it's ready, it's there, so we can take it easily and feel
But we've
some.
also been brought up with family traditions with food. We've been brought up with so much that food is celebration. Food is, someone's upset. Oh, let me make you a cup of tea and a biscuit. We have been taught, we've been traditioned with all these different things. So again, it's more patterns that we need to break, because that's what we've been brought up with as well. So it's been passed down through the genes. We've been taught these things as well. So there's that, as well as really going, onto the food to soothe. So there's different aspects of it that you have to actually look at, and some may not need to be changed. But it comes, if it's a problem for you, where you are actually feeling that you are hiding and you're not feeling good about yourself and your self-esteem is so low, then you've probably got a problem.
Yeah, we know that women, especially women, when she starts to gain weight, automatically they don't feel um, happy with their new look. So I think the first trigger is gaining weight, when women start to find difficulty spending a lot of time to look what she can put on. For example, I'm thinking about busy professional women who want to work every morning. She spent time to look what she wants to put on. This
Correct.
becomes a problem. So we women want to be always energetic. We want to do many things and be look amazing, etc. But when we start to gain weight, it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
With ourselves, in the society, at work, etc. And this is the moment when we start to start taking everything to fix the problem quickly, and sometimes we continue the circle with the yo-yo effect, etc. And this
Correct.
is the big problem, because when the person for example, do an effort to lose weight and did not resolve the problem of the relationship with food, they can start to gain weight again and start the same relationship with food again.
The same cycle.
Yeah, so it's this is why I think it's important to understand the why, and to follow the process so as to have a healthy lifestyle and using food to nourish
The
the
body.
body, and not to fill some emptiness or respond to some emotion feelings.
Yeah. It's really sad, because society has our bodies in a certain way. And I even remember looking back at photos of me as a 11-year-old, 12-year-old who thought I was fat. And I look back at the photos and go, I wasn't. There was nothing wrong with my body back then, but I hated on my body back then. And it's when we've hated our body for so long, it's hard to actually change that. So even when we put something on and we look great, and we've had this look in the mirror, and what we see in the mirror is distorted. So this is where diets they just add to the problem, because we keep wanting to change who we are. And exactly as you said, we lose weight it doesn't change who we are. We look at ourselves and we still don't like ourselves. So then we turn to food to soothe again. So it's when we actually turn inwards and actually learn to like ourselves. You know, loving yourself is amazing, but when we're at this stage, it's hard to love yourself to begin with. You need to start learning to like yourself, respect yourself, and then working on loving yourself. And then you can an acceptance that you don't have to be the same as everybody else. And society is wrong. You know, all those models in magazines, they're all airbrushed, and, you know, they have bellies and all that sort of stuff. So we don't have to be this perfect figure to actually to be who we are.
When we gain weight, we can develop other health problems. The idea is to have the body that help us to live our life without suffering, do activities, be energetic, have energy every morning when we get up. It's something normal. So this is the idea.
And I think that's one of the things that I changed about my mentality as well too through the self-development was it is not about the weight. It's actually about how I feel. I want to go into my old age and be able to get up off the floor and do the things. So, you know, once I overcame my issue of exercise meant death, you know, I started doing triathlons and different things. So I went into training. I had a personal trainer. I was doing CrossFit. Unfortunately, I got cancer, you know, last year, so I had to stop CrossFit, and I've had a, you know, neck dissection. So it's been a bit unpleasant, but my body is still able to look after me, go for walks and do what I need to do in this moment. So it comes down to not expecting to be like everybody else, but to be who you are in your body and learn to love who you are in your body and actually love yourself
and
in
to
your
enjoy
heart.
your life, to
Correct.
do what you want.
Correct. And that's all. That's what we need to do. It's just actually, it's why we're here, is to actually enjoy life.
Yeah.
It's not to be these, you know, size, you know, model 10 model or whatever the case may be. It's actually about, you know, the friendships we have, the way we enjoy our life, doing the things that we like to do and having the energy to do that. That's about, you know, what we're doing with what we eat to give our body nutrition.
Because having energy, we need to be conscious how we nourish our body, how we nourish our mind to have this energy, because energy that can't come without doing all these things, because we need to move our body. Our body is like a machine now. We need to move it so as to keep it in a good harmony. So and even if for our mind, when we move our body, we clean our mind and we have a clear vision of what we are doing. So I think that having this balance to be uh, fit, healthy, accepting the body we have, and be conscious about how we nourish our body is very important to.
And how we nourish our mind, because
Exactly, yeah.
When we have these traumas, you know, a lot of women are walking around with PTSD, a lot of women are walking around with different things, and when we don't actually look at those and actually clear out those trauma or clear out how we react to things that have happened in our past, then we're never going to accept ourselves. We're never really going to love ourselves, and we're never going to be able to live our life happy, because we're going to be triggered all the time by different things that come up. So it all goes hand in hand with self-development, actually working through your mind and working through your traumas, and or healing, looking at your emotions and feeling into the emotions. And it's something that society doesn't let us do, because we're so rush. We need to actually take a step back and actually work out what's going on for us, so that we don't use food, smoking, cigarettes, or whatever it is that, you know, whatever it is that we use to get through. You know, and all is just our way to sabotage ourselves because we haven't worked through what we need to work through.
Understand all these things and to stay away from critical behavior that might cause some trouble with food, chocolate bar, drugs, etc. And
correct. So my book Eating Secrets is about binge eating, but a lot of the techniques can be used for anything that's actually stopping you from being who you want to be. That's yes, it's about binging because that was my story, but don't get me wrong, I've also been a smoker, I've also done these other things as well too, but it can be used for other people who are looking to make some changes because there's techniques in there to make changes. So
okay,
thank you, Karen, for sharing. So the key takeaways are: emotional eating isn't about willpower, it's about understanding the why. Healing emotional wounds can change how we approach food, and small and consistent steps lead to sustainable change. My friends, if you like this interview, please share it and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for listening and supporting me in creating more content. If you are busy and want to eat healthy and nutritious meals, even if you don't have time to cook, download my free ebook, 10 Quick and Healthy Meals, that will save you time, energy, and money. The link is in the description. To learn another aspect of the relationship with food, watch the next video. Take care and see you in the next episode.